Hey everyone, I'm Anita Sharma. Welcome to Market Call tonight on BNN Bloomberg. My special guest, Jaime Carrasco. He's a portfolio manager at Canaccord Genuity, taking your calls, emails, and tweets on precious metals and North American dividend stocks. Our number toll-free, 1-855-326-6266. Our email address, marketcall@bnnbloomberg.ca. Our Twitter handle, @MarketCall. Jaime, you're on Twitter as well. What's your Twitter handle?
J. Carrasco.
J. Carrasco. J. Carrasco. All right. How you doing?
Might be a one, actually, but I'm
we'll
doing
look
well.
at it during the show. We'll look at it during the show.
Doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, things are good. Well set up for this year.
Yeah.
I'm very optimistic, only because I see more uncertainty building as we go through, especially with the election. Right, we have a lot of noise in the system, and I think that's going to continue to add uncertainty. And it's uncertainty the reason why. You know, it's funny. I was called a gold bull.
I called you a gold bull last night.
A gold bug.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was at a party.
Yeah.
And you know, it's funny because I don't see myself as a gold bug. I'm a fixed income bear. I'm looking at what's happening within the fixed income sector. And I've always said that the repo market sending signals, what's going on in the fixed income market. And I do think that we got to look at the bigger picture for a second, right? Because it's important. To me, the two big news this week wasn't the impeachment. To me, that's the forum for the Romans, for the masses.
Generally speaking, though, it seems like Wall Street and Bay Street is taking a pass, right?
Yes, I agree.
On impeachment.
The real story was Trump's speech at Davos, which I actually spent the time to listen to it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was very interesting because I also spent the time to get a hold of Marc Carney's speech at Jackson Hole in the fall last year, in 2019.
Right.
And what I thought was amazing about what Carney was saying was that the currency reserve has to be replaced. So go back to 2016. What would have happened if Hillary had won? There was a plan to actually undo the currency reserve. That's what James Rickards kept talking about. But it was to be controlled by the IMF, which was what Carney was saying. Who's going to control that process? Right. What Trump was saying at Davos is that, no, you're not. We're going to forget about the global system we've been setting up, and we're going to do it through a nationalist way, which is very important because, again, if you look at the trade deal between China and the U.S., in North America we call it a trade deal, but in China they refer to it as a currency deal. So I do think that what's shaping up here, China doesn't care who ends up, how it's set up, because they know that they're going to control the currency reserve. They have the gold reserves, right? So to me, going forward, is what is the shape of that structure? Is it going to be as an SDR, or is it going to be more a basket that is completely outside of the control of the IMF? Now, I think that is the play that is happening, and that's why Judy Shelton is so important. The second news was the fact that Trump has finally nominated her and another chap to the Fed this week, right? And there's been a lot of talk about Judy Shelton because she is a hard money advocate. True. So all this is shaping up that I think this year we're getting to the end of something. Something's got to give. I do think that I've done my analysis on the impeachment, and that's all noise. He's going to come out stronger. You're seeing that in the levels of money raising that Trump is getting. You're seeing that in the amount of people that are going to see him. So he's in control of the U.S.
He's also talking about more tax cuts likely coming down the pipe for Americans. We know Americans like their low taxes. So the promise of that is certainly...
and another important thing is the trade deals he's doing. North America now, he's reorganized NAFTA into, what do they call it, CAMMEC? It's U.S., it's the acronym of the three countries. USMC. He's got a deal with Japan, he's got a deal with Korea, he's doing a deal with Britain. So he's really setting up a completely different system. So I see the parallels to him and Teddy Roosevelt very similar in that we're seeing this trades are happening, but also he's starting some level of isolationism of the U.S. itself. That's why he's walking away from all these wars. He hasn't taken the bait with Iran. I think he's communicating with them, and they're gonna do some kind of a deal. Right. So I think he is the king of the deal, and he is doing a lot of them. But that's going to reshape the global economy, and I think at the core of that, gold is part of it. Okay, speaking of gold, let's put up the spot price. We had a couple of technical analysts on last few nights, and Elliot Fishman in particular from Scotia Wealth, looking at it just from a pure technical perspective, said it's going to be tough for gold, based on his analysis, for it to break through $1,600. He sees that next resistance point as a very tough one to break above. Now, coronavirus has certainly
really rattled the market last couple of days. Today, we saw a significant hit on the markets. They only rebounded on news that the World Health Organization said, look, it's relatively contained, nothing really to worry about here for now. So we saw markets bounce back ever so slightly. But my question is, why isn't gold moving significantly higher on fears of this coronavirus?
Okay, first of all, I would argue that gold is holding extremely strong because this is Golden Week in China and Asia. They're on holidays. They are not buying anything. They're not participating in the future market. Every week for the past couple of years, this week, gold gets killed. It hasn't happened. So there's a lot of underlying strength. On top of that, we have an overwhelming amount of short positions in the futures contracts. If I was actually looking at a couple of charts that were coming out from the COT report, looking at how many short positions have been added, and we have an overwhelming amount of shorts. So I think that from a technical perspective, you know, we're back to that game at 1,300. All the technicians were saying, oh, it's going back down to 1,000. As soon as it broke 1,350, look at the run-up we had. I think gold is set up to break through 1560 because of global demand. Central banks continue acquiring. The Russians are over, what, 3,000 tons, I believe? No, sorry, 2,500. They are about to surpass Germany.
Russia definitely a big player. China definitely a big player.
Turkey, India, a lot of Kazakhstan. So central banks are buying, right? So the fact that the price is here, really, to me, that's the opportunity, the fact that the price is to go higher. The bigger opportunity, though, is the fact that the producers haven't yet moved to reflect gold anywhere near $1,300. They're still trading relatively low. If you look at the HUI, go back to when it was trading, when gold was last at 1,500 in 2012, 2013, the HUI itself was around 400, close to 500. It hit a high of 600. We're sitting here at 231. So there's plenty of room in the producers, and I still think that there's a lot of entry points into portfolios. And one of the things that I sent, and I'm going to put that on my LinkedIn, is the methodology of how I've been choosing companies and how I'm developing a portfolio, both within the equity income portfolio and the special opportunities portfolio.
Okay, a lot going on there, and I know we're going to get stock specific after this break. A lot of news on Detour Gold and Kirkland Lake. That is a past pick for you, so we'll have to hold off to get Jaime's analysis until that point, but we'll come back to your calls with Jaime Carrasco. All right, let's bring in Jerome from White Rock, BC. Hi, Jerome.
Hi, Anita. Hi, Jamie.
Hey.
My question today is about Palladium. I'm investing in the commodities through the PAL ETF that trade on the NYC. And I was just wondering, what's your thought, like for the guest, for Jamie, about Palladium in general, and is there any way to be invested in that commodity within the Canadian index without a stock? More like ETFs or something like that.
That's a good question. Thanks, Jerome.
Well, the one that I would look at is, again, one of the ETFs for hard metal is the BGM Group, who has silver, gold, and palladium within the portfolio. I've always liked it as, now again, when I look at the commodity itself, to me, that's like holding cash, right? So it's part of my cash component. Palladium has had an amazing move over the last while. I used to own North American Palladium. I've been taken out of that. I am looking to replace into another Palladium asset, but they're hard to come by. So I am doing my homework. I don't know if I would be chasing Palladium right here. I think if anything, what Palladium is signaling is a bit of a loss of control of the paper market because the producers are Palladium, South Africa, Russia. Canada is a small producer, but the bulk is South Africa and Russia, and they're not really selling as their Palladium. And I think at some point we're going to get similar mechanics within gold and silver. At some point we're going to lose control of the paper market, and the commodities will start to really reflect much higher inflationary prices. Palladium is interesting because it's one that's rhodium, another one that they're both just escalating at an amazing pace, but I'm keeping my eye on copper. Copper near $3, I think at some point we'll get a good break, and at that point I think the commodity and the inflationary trade will be on.
Copper, is that usually seen as a China play? And by extension, now I'm curious once again about the coronavirus and just that. I'm bringing everything back to Corona because I am a journalist at the end
keep
of the
thinking
day.
beer.
But what do you think, right? Copper links you to China, you're thinking more demand, but then you got this coronavirus, which just keeps popping up. Right?
I think the virus issue should be monitored, and we should be conscious that it's there and take precautions. However, I don't think go back to the SARS breakout. We can't control these things, and usually we bring them back to some kind of containment. We shut it down. Yeah. So from that perspective, I think that's short-term noise for the markets. If anything, what I'm looking at more is exactly what Trump is doing, because look, he's bringing back manufacturing to the U.S. Yeah. He had
a shout out, if you will, for Elon Musk, right? He said, "Look, we helped him out. It's time for him to help us out. Right. He wants a plant in the States."
And the reality is that. So look at the big plan for Trump. He can't do that without really killing the dollar, because from a comparative basis, the cost of labor is key. With the dollar at the rate it is, really big manufacturing won't come back to the U.S. If we get a correction, though, if we get some kind of a monetary adjustment, there at that point, everything's off in terms of economic activity, because the U.S. will be manufacturing. China is off in terms of the currency adjustment. And that's why I think copper is the key to watching that. And I don't watch it as a China trade. I watch it as a global barometer of economic activity. And it's definitely tracking up and picking up a bit. So to me, that's very bullish.
Okay. I don't know how many people are able to separate that, right? Copper from China. But that is an interesting point. We'll leave it there, Jaime. Welcome back. We're with Jaime Carrasco. Time to look at your past picks. Sir, North American Palladium acquired by Impala on December 17th, 2019. If our viewers purchased this when you recommended it less than a year ago, they'd be up a nice 17%. Clearly a juicy dividend kicking in there as well. Yeah,
I was a little disappointed with this because I owned it. Yeah. It's in the portfolio. It was there at a much lower price. As soon as Brookfield took over the project, I thought they had cleaned up the balance sheet and everything. They went through a full restructure, and that's when I get in, because I like Palladium. It's just sad to see it go, but I'm happy to get the cash, and it's a good indication of the mergers that are taking place, right? There's a lot of companies to be had. They're still cheap, and look at the announcement by Landin that they're also shopping. Everybody's looking to acquire right now.
Detour was, rather the other way around. Kirkland was shopping, landed on Detour, and today we're getting news from the Detour Gold CEO that their shareholders are comfortable with the Kirkland deal. Looks like that's probably going to go ahead. You own this. You say that you will also vote in favor of this deal. Kirkland Lake, had our viewers purchase this, they'd be up a nice sweet 26%.
Actually, I own this at $7 in the portfolio, because it's one of the ones that I was buying back in 2015. Yeah. Both companies, Detour, I get in again at around 12 when Paulson came in, when they had that big correction. I think the merger of both of these companies are creating an even better entity, for the simple reason that Detour is a longer mine life with lower grades. Kirkland Lake is a shorter mine life, but with very high grades. What you have, the combination of the two is going to stream the production much longer. So it means that they're going to have better leverage on their balance sheet, which means that they're going to be acquiring even better, right? So I think what I'm doing with this, I own both at 5% of the portfolio. I'm going to hold it as a 8 to 10%, because I think the joint entity is going to be a great levered machine, which is what I want of the producers, right? Plus a lot of reserves on the ground. And the nice thing about both of these companies, they can still add reserves on the ground through some drilling, which Kirkland Lake did at the end of last year. They added quite a bit of high grade, the new zone that they've discovered. Okay.
And the deal looks like it's going to be voted on Tuesday. It needs the approval of at least 2/3 of votes cast by Detour shareholders in person or represented by proxy. And we know that you're giving it a thumbs up.
I'm a go.
You're a go. All right, Jaime. Valens, GrowWorks, VLNS on the TSX Venture Exchange. This one also a very nice return of 24%.
Yeah, this one's one that I still hold, and every time it gets over 4, I tend to take a bit of money here and there. Okay. Right now I'm holding. I like the position I have, and again, it's one of the extractors, like Medifarm, like Charlotte's Web, and it's the ones that I kind of like, and if I start to add back into the sector, I would definitely be adding in this area. I'm not necessarily starting to add just yet. I'm looking to see what happens and how it all plays out. But I do like the sector. It's a new sector. It's a new industry, and I think it has plenty of room to grow. So it's one that I would like to have a participation within it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well done, sir. Let's take a break. I know our viewers are anxious to get back on the phone with you. Our number, folks, 1-855-326-6266. Welcome back to Market Call tonight. We're with Jaime Carrasco. This is a stock that we've been talking about a lot here on Market Call tonight, off air and on air. Vermilion, such a juicy dividend. Some say a misunderstood company because even though it gets painted with the Alberta brush, unfortunately, it doesn't really do a lot of business there.
Yeah, I've been looking at oil for a while, and you know, for the last 2-3 years, I've been saying I'm staying aside.
For sure.
This is my entry point right here, Vermilion.
Wow.
Reason being is that they're in Europe.
Yeah.
Like you said, they've been paintbrush with the Canadian story. They've come down. The dividend is sustainable. I spoke with an analyst yesterday just to go through the asset again.
It's never been cut, right?
It's never been cut.
Yeah.
And they have the cash flow. We don't think it's going to be cut. The only positive negative is natural gas in Europe, because they do sell to Europe this coming summer. If it's a hot summer, nothing to worry about because air conditioning. But otherwise, we feel very comfortable. Their sales are hedged, and they sell into Brent. So they're not stuck within the Canadian market where we're trading at a discount to WTI, West Texas Intermediary. So these guys being in Europe, they sell Brent, which they're getting the higher price. So I think the balance sheet is sustainable. We have Vermilion with a $35 target, and we're holding on to our buy rating.
Okay. Let's get to Fortuna Silver, your second pick. We didn't talk a lot about, actually at all about silver, but this is a gold mine, right?
Silver.
Silver and gold?
Silver, but they're starting up a gold mine.
Okay, there it is. Yeah.
Now, before I talk about Fortuna, I wouldn't mind talking about Canaccord's capital markets team, because they've been doing a great job. Both research and capital markets are bringing a lot of ideas to gold and silver ideas to market, to us, and they're doing a stellar job. This is one that actually I was chatting with the analyst, and he pointed out they're starting up a gold mine in Argentina, which I happen to like. Cost production is going to be around $700, and as soon as that kicks in, it's going to transform this company. This is one that I've held within my silver companies. I've had Fortuna, I've had First Majestic. This is the laggard, right? And it's the one that I've been selling the other ones. This one's the one that I've been buying more and more.
Okay.
But I do think that coming into this year, this thing will start moving, because this is going to be a very, very profitable mine. Plus, I'm getting silver and gold. I like the exposure, and it's in Latin America, which I think Argentina, as much as Argentina has always this noise, it's one place where the mining jurisdictions are controlled by the estates, and this one is in a good state, so I'm very comfortable.
I'm surprised we didn't get a lot of calls, or any calls rather, on silver tonight. That's usually, it's right behind gold as far as the calls that you do get on Market Call tonight. Silver, the poor man's gold, it seems to be a way more attractive entry point for a lot of folks who are wanting to dip their toe in, right?
Correct. I prefer silver to gold. I think silver will have a much greater upside. I'm always amazed by the fact that silver has not kept up with inflation for 40 years. Still sitting here at $17. Copper, everything has moved up. I think at some point that corrects, and we're going to have a beautiful upside in silver.
Well, you know what? A lot of folks are hoping for a beautiful upside in oil for the Canadian oil patch. You talked a little bit about Vermilion, but to your point, Vermilion not really an Alberta play, but Gibson Energy is. Yeah,
Gibson Energy, I like this company because I've owned it in the past. I'm coming back into it. The dividend is sustainable. We have it with a, give me 1 second. We've just raised our target actually from $28 to $30, and it's more of an infrastructure project. So it's storage, it's distribution. So it's more playing the auxiliary side of energy, which is needed. So look at Alta Gas, for example, same thing. So these guys, I think it's a great entry point. I'm starting to like the oils. I'm starting to like the oil patch, but I'm not ready to buy oil companies in Canada. But the sidelines and companies outside of Canada, I think, make sense.
It's been a long time coming, right? So the very fact that you and a number of your colleagues are now coming on the program and saying, look, we're maybe not buying all this stuff full-fledged, but we're starting to dip our toe in the water. That's got to offer some reassurance to our friends in Alberta and consequently the rest of Canada.
Right. Keep in mind that I'm putting these within the equity income because I want the cash flow.
Right.
And I do think that right now we have some good entry points from capital depreciation, which already happened. So I can get, I don't know how long we're going to be in the tunnel, but at least now I'm getting paid to wait. So that's how I'm looking at these as a replacement to cash flow.
All right. Another great show under our belt. Always a pleasure to chat with you, Jaime Carrasco. We're going to keep us posted on the whole gold situation. Let's see if it can break past 1,600. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Folks, thank you for watching. On behalf of Aaron Sebeski, our senior producer, have a wonderful evening. Stay warm, and we will see you tomorrow.